Good evening and welcome to the City of Pasco's City of Pasco Council Workshop meeting for March 25th, 2024. Council thanks you for being a part of your city government. At workshop meetings, the council discusses issues, but no formal action is taken. Agenda packets are available on the City of Pasco's website at www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. For anyone in attendance, they're on the small table immediately to your right as you enter. This meeting is also being televised live on PSC TV channel 191 on Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and via GoToWebinar. This and previous council meeting is available on the city's website. The public may submit comments or questions by contacting the city manager, the city clerk, or by using the Ask Pasco app, but during our workshop meetings, we do not have a public comment period. Lastly, we would like to announce the presence of our Spanish interpreter, Mr. Cruz, who's seated, he's got his hand up in the far back corner to my left, your right if you're seated in here. He's here to assist anyone requiring interpretation services. Mr. Cruz, what do we have? 8 headsets, is that correct? Or do we not have the headsets tonight? Do you want to make sure that they got that announcement, the number available? So we have 8 headsets available to my right. Yeah. And so, Mr. Cruz, if there is anyone asking assistance, we can certainly offer that. Do you need a minute to get ready? Or are you good? Okay. We'll sit tight for a second. You have that? Okay. That's all good. Alrighty. With that, we will roll into item number 2, which is our call to order. Miss Debbie.
Right. Council members, Barajas,
Present.
Blaisdell,
Here.
Grimm,
Here.
Harpster,
Present.
Morales,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Present.
and Mayor Serrano.
I am present. With that, we are all here. If you would all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, we will move on to item number 4, which is verbal reports from council members. Ms. Blaisdell.
I did attend the PPFD board. They're in the process of exploring options and what entity they'd like running the aquatic center. City of Pasco was on the list as a possibility for many reasons. One, continuing the partnership with the city and the expertise on the lifeguards and with Memorial Park. Since Director Jesse Rice is you're very familiar with the lifeguard, and this will be a year-round facility. They think that the expertise would be very well taken by having us help with that.
Thank you, Ms. Blaisdell. Mr. Milne.
Thank you, Mayor. On Wednesday, I did attend the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce annual meeting and awards luncheon with City Manager Adam Lincoln and staff. So it was a good event. And then also on Thursday, I attended the Tri-City National Park Committee and talked a lot about the Reactor B out at the Hanford site there and how important it is. And they also talked about how the tours are all booked up. There's only one and 2 little spots if you're a one person to be available. But really excited about people wanting to see the B Reactor. And other than that, that's it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Harpster.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Hanford Communities Board meeting this week, and discussion was primarily focused on transportation of hazardous waste. Most notably, Ecology is seeking public comment on a draft permit for Department of Energy proposing a 2,000-gallon test bed initiative, and that initiative would demonstrate the feasibility of alternative options for the retrieval, treatment, and disposal of waste coming out of the site. One of the options, transporting along the highways, which brings some concerns, both with the risk of vehicle collisions and potential spillage, along with burdening our already overburdened grid system. So essentially looking at alternative methods for transporting waste is a good way to sum it up. And the comment period is ongoing through April 25th. Those wishing to make comments can go to Ecology's website /NWP, Nuclear Waste Program -comment -periods. And then there's also a March 20th informational meeting online, tinyurl.com/TBI-public-meeting. If you don't remember that, you can just Google Department of Energy's Test Bed Initiative for more information. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that, as most of you know, I was out at fire ops training this Friday and Friday, and you know, at the invitation of Kevin Crowley and our city manager, and it was just a really good immersion into what our fire department does, even though they only had the hoses at half strength for us and everything was in an ideal situation. It still was a great immersion into the life of a firefighter and what they do from day to day. And so I really appreciated that time of learning and understanding. And of course, I was with all of you over the weekend for our retreat, and just really enjoyed getting to know you guys more, and also our planning for the next 2 years. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Thursday, I had the opportunity to attend the Pasco Transition Center ribbon cutting. This is actually hosted by our school district, PSD number 1, at Rowena Chess Elementary School. And what this is they fundamentally use the portable facilities to have some sort of either developmentally disabled adults, being 18 to 21, or otherwise, disabled folks who are in that age category, working through transitioning from school into some functional life education and experiences. And so they actually partner with various businesses in the community to provide these folks not just that work opportunity in the classroom, but to then utilize it in the working field. And so it was pretty awesome. I mean, it was exciting, I got to talk with a lot of the students. You could clearly see how this program's a benefit to them and to their families. Some of it alleviating some stresses, and others just providing experiences. So that was great. And like Mr. Grimm said, we all had the opportunity to have our semi-annual or every 2-year retreat and goal setting, and looking forward to seeing the outcome of that. I see no additional mics, and I apologize, the little iPad's not lit up, so I'm just kind of keeping a head on a swivel. With that, we can move on to item number 5, which is items for discussion. Item A is Visit Tri-Cities 2023 annual report, annual report and 2024 work plan and tourism promotion area reserve fund request. I see Angela Pashon. We'll kick it off, and then we will get Mr. Lewis to present to us.
I'll take it, actually, Mayor. So, Mayor and Council, tonight we've obviously got Mr. Lewis back with us. He's our President and CEO. Tonight he's going to be talking a little bit about their 2023 work plan, or annual report, and then the work plan for 2024. And then we're going to go over a little bit on the tourism promotion area reserve account. So the TPA was formed in 2004, and there's an assessment for hotels of a per night fee. He can go into more detail about the exact amounts there, but the interlocal agreement is between Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland, and it requires that the annual budget and the expenditures for that TPA reserve account be approved by the city councils first, and there's also a legislative update that goes along with that. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. It's good to be with all of you. I see many of you out and about in the different organizations that we're involved with through the communities, and it's good to see you here in this setting as well. But through some of the things that we do, I think one of the key purposes, I guess, of Visit Tri-Cities is really, it's all about community vitality. We're really an organization that's here to help the communities achieve their goals. And so as part of our organizational agreements, the interlocal agreements, we our bylaws and agreements say that we should present to you each year an annual report. So that's what we're here about. And I think it's always good maybe just to step back just for a minute, kind of give you the basis of the organization. There may be some new folks that don't quite understand how it all works. And so I'll take just a minute and go over that. We're a 501c6 organization. We're funded by lodging tax. We get the first 1% of the lodging tax that comes into the Tri-Cities. The tourism performance agreements is the city manager just indicated those were legislated in 2004. The state gave the opportunity for the lodging properties in an area to get together and assess a fee that they would then remit back to an organization like ours to market the destination. And so currently we get a $3 per room per night fee that comes back to our organization, and that works through each of the cities and then is remitted back to us as part of our budget.
Hey,
And
Kevin,
you'll see that in the
can you
plan.
sit that 1 second? Mr. Cruz, are we doing all right? Okay, just when I see you up and walking, I just want to make sure our audience is covered. Sorry about that.
Perfect, no problem. And any time tonight, I know you have a busy night tonight, so I will whip through this quickly, but stop me if you want some clarification on anything. And everything, pretty much everything that I've got to talk with you about, it's been sent to you. It's in the annual report in front of you, and it's been sent electronically as well. So then that tourism performance agreements are the one big section of our budget, and then the last part is partnerships, memberships, and advertising that we recruit. And so again, we're here to report this annual report. This last year in 2023, as we looked at our vision and mission statements, we'd made some slight adjustments to those. The new vision and mission statements are listed here. The vision to inspire, reward, and celebrate the spirit of exploration and discovery. We really feel like that is what this community, all our communities here are built upon. From the original people that settled here to the Manhattan Project, Lewis and Clark, you name it, there's been a lot of that kind of feeling of spirit and discovery. And when you think of travel, you think of a lot of the same kind of thing. People are looking for new adventures, new opportunities, or even maybe more discovery among themselves, internally. And so that's why they travel. And so for us, the vision is to inspire, reward, and celebrate that. But our mission really gets down to it, and that's to fuel transformational growth in the Tri-Cities through tourism. And we'll kind of talk about how that works. Really, it's based on the visitor economy. Visitors spend about $600 million a year in our communities each year. There are 3.7 million visitors that come. That influences 5,700 direct jobs. So those are 5,700 people in our communities are making their living off of visitation and tourism. And then the annual tourism tax generation is almost 75 million. So all of those dollars coming in, they start this economic cycle where you get it infused in the community from outside. The dollars are coming in here. You get direct spending, you get indirect spending that fuels other business interaction, the labor income, the providers for hospitality businesses, think construction, engineering, professional services, all of those that help support all of those businesses and services. Induced impact just helps the quality of life. That's employee spending, business output, new business development, and new amenities. And then, of course, the tax revenues that we talked about, 75 million, support the local governments, offset the costs for some of those other things that residents would have to pay if the visitors weren't coming in, to the tune of about $600 per household per year in tax relief. And so that's how the economics of tourism work. You bring those dollars in and they circulate through the community. This shows you kind of a breakdown of where that spending comes from. All of these, this data and information is coming from Tourism Economics Study. They're an Oxford economics organization. And so you can see the breakdown there where the dollars are coming in. But again, when you think of community vitality, what you're really looking at is everything kind of starts with a visit. You build a place where people want to visit, and people will want to move here, they want to live here. And when they move and live here, they need to work, and so they work. And if they're working here, they begin to invest in the community. And so you get this positive cycle that works all the way around, not only the economics of it, but just the people and the community all come together in building and growing. So that's the kind of vitality wheel. Our organization really is built on these 5 strategic pillars: sales, marketing, collaborative destination development, proactive community engagement, and innovative operations. And so we'll see as we go through the report. I try and go down those pillars and demonstrate some of the things that we do, and we'll talk through some of that. But this is the financial picture. On those three sources of income, we generated about $3.2 million in revenue for the organization in 2023. Our spending expenses were $22.7 million. So we continue to be, financial responsible there. And you can see the breakdown of where those dollars are spent. The bulk of it is in marketing and sales promotion, trying to bring in groups and organizations into the community that help stimulate that economy. This gives you a breakdown on the tax revenue for the hotels, and you can see back in 2020 the total tax revenue for the three cities hotel tax revenue was $700,000. This year, Pasco had $498,000, Kennewick $714,000, and Richland $795,000 for a total of just over $2 million. So tax revenue was up overall this year, and Pasco really is on a really nice trajectory up. The Pasco revenues have been doing really quite well in hotels in the latter portion of 2023 and into 2024. This year in 23, we launched a new messaging strategy, and some of you were at the annual meeting that we presented in November. We kind of looked at this destination and pulled apart all the key assets, and the objective here was to meet visitors where they are in the decision-making cycle and help funnel them down to making a decision to come here. And we knew we have a lot of different amenities in the community, but trying to organize them in a simple way that visitors can really recognize and understand what these communities are and what we have for them. We broke it into 5 real categories: wineries and vineyards, river recreation, history and science is big for us, events and entertainment, and then that blanket of sunshine and open spaces that we all enjoy is a real draw for community, for visitors. And so we've broken that down, and you'll see in all of our marketing and messaging communication, that's the focus is going to be on helping people to simplify what the destination is, because it's a fairly complex destination with three cities and 2 counties and a lot of different things spread out. So to narrow it into categories like that, and then drill down even deeper and deeper. We presented at that annual meeting a new video that we call our manifesto video, and this really is sort of the foundational video for what this destination is. And so if we have just a second, I'll show that to you, and you can kind of get a sense of where we're going with the messaging. I think we can hear it. Maybe we can't hear it. We know how to. We can skip that. We'll come back to it if we get a chance. But it's a great video. Again, talks about that spirit of exploration that's here and the great people and the community that we have and why it is such a great destination to visit. In 2023, we secured 2 signature events. We call them signature events because they're a little bigger than some of the standard stuff that comes on every year. The Ironman 70.3 Washington Tri-Cities will be held on September 22nd, 2024. That was really a nice win for us. There's been a lot of work done in the past to try and build a foundation for that. But we were able to secure that this year, and it came together pretty quickly. Normally those things take a year plus to put together, but we're going to put it together in 2024 and do it in the fall. And then we also won the bid for the National Horseshoe Pitchers World Tournament. That'll bring about 1,000 horseshoe pitchers into our area for about 10 days. Pitching for a world championship. And so you have 2 events that are kind of on the extreme ends of sports and discipline when you see the different participants in each of them, but they're all great at their sport. They're very passionate about it. They bring their families along with them, and they spend their money enjoying and experiencing the destination. Between those 2 events alone, we estimate about $8 to $10 million in economic impact on the weeks that they're here. Then there's additional benefit from that, just workforce recruitment. When people see that you're hosting an Ironman event, it opens up the eyes and like, wow, you can do that. And then they start to see the footage and video and stuff that goes out from those events and all the Instagram photos. Very passionate people. So I think that's going to be very beneficial for us, and that's one of the strategies that we're working on moving forward is sort of this signature event and building up to some bigger things. Just to recap our sales, though, the group business, we were actually down just a little bit, 2% in the number of groups we hosted, but we were up 9% in the number of visitors. So we had fewer groups, but more visitors. And then the group spending last year was 26 million, up 6.3% from 2022. Even better news than that, in 2024, you can see we've already projecting 121 groups booked so far for advanced bookings with 140 projected visitors, and projected spend is 49 million. So really good progress in the group business. And that's sort of the coming out of COVID. We're getting that business back. We won 2 big events in 24 that will really help us. And then there's some other things that are really supporting that. So group business is good. Our marketing's working really well. Our website views are up 54%. Our social media is up 12%. Got some good digital campaigns going on and good PR coverage happening as well. This community vitality that we talked about, our organization is really involved in the community, trying to make a difference through collaborative destination development, because that's important to us as destination marketers. If we have the amenities that visitors want, then we can get more of them to come. And then collaborating with the community and being engaged in what the community wants is really important to us. And one of the important organizations that we have is the Tri-City River Shore Enhancement Council. That brings together 9 jurisdictions where we meet to collaborate on river shore development and enhancement there. The National Park Committee, which Commissioner Councilman Milne was at, sorry, make you commissioner, watch out. Coordinating the efforts of the national park and the opportunities there. We have a wine tourism council and a sports council and a number of others that aren't listed there. We're involved pretty heavily in the community there. And then just kind of a recap on our operations. As you saw, we're financially stable. We do a good job with our books and all of that. We built this year a dashboard for key metrics that demonstrate the work that we're doing, and that's accessible to you. If you want to access it, all of our key data is on there so that we can track trends and mark where we're going. And then we've streamlined some processes, our asset management, our social media management, our workflow, and things like that. So some good things going on there. In your packet there's a copy of the work plan for 2024, and that lists out a number of things that we're going to try to accomplish in 24 in our plan. I won't go over all of those. It's a lot of stuff, but you've got them there, and happy to talk about any of them if you want to. But again, just following along those pillars to be successful going forward. And then I think the last thing that I want to talk about is this TPA reserve fund. So the tourism performance area, as we gather that money in, we're conservative and thoughtful about what we do, and sometimes we have some extra at the end of the year that goes into a reserve fund. Well, that has built up to about $2 million over the years. You can see on the left there, we have an operating fund that we hold on there, a minimum reserve of $650,000. So there's about 1.7 million available for reinvestment for marketing purposes, and that's what those funds are dictated for. They're designated specifically for marketing. We had about 791,000 already committed in projects that we're working on that haven't quite been finished up yet, and so 900,000 left that we could spend. What we're proposing this year is another 176 to add to that, and those projects are listed on the right there. And I can take time to go over those if you want to, but I think we emailed out a description of each of those. So based on timing, I'll just talk about those that you have questions about or whatever. But we feel like those are projects that are important and necessary this year, and things that we can actually accomplish. And so we want to add those to the list. And so our request for you tonight is to ratify that. All of those requests were brought to the TPA Commissioner Board of Commissioners, and they unanimously approved the requests we have. We go into detail on those requests with them, and so those are hotel general managers from each of the cities that are on that board. So they've unanimously approved those, and we just ask for your support in that when you have the opportunity to vote on that. That's kind of the basis of my report. Happy to take any questions or feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Do we have any? Looks like we got Mr. Harpster. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for that presentation, Mr. Lewis. First question, where are we at with visitor spending levels compared to pre-COVID levels? Have we kind of reached that plateau again or still recovering?
Yeah, we're back at about even. 2023 was a pretty good, level year, and we had some good spikes right out of COVID, and then they've kind of leveled off, and we're back to about normal. So we're right at 2019 revenues.
Good to hear. Last question: are you able to collect data that tells you almost for certain, what visitors are coming here for? Generally speaking, like these are the top kind of events, these are the top attractions.
Yeah, we're getting better and better at that. There's some great digital capability now through mobile devices and things like that, where we can actually see. And this sounds a little Big Brother-ish, but if somebody saw our ad in Seattle and 2 weeks later showed up in our destination, that's trackable. We don't know the person came here. We just know an aggregate of devices that saw our ads and were able to come here. That's some software that we are a data service that we just contracted with this year going forward. We did a couple of tests in 2023 of that service, and one of them was on we played off of the Oppenheimer movie and geofenced movie theaters in Seattle and Portland and whatever to target Manhattan Project type ads to those. That we saw a return on investment of almost $100 to 1 for that. And then with our general campaign, which was sort of, we called it our summer anthem type of a campaign that kind of focused on river activities and all of that. Same kind of a test with that, and that was about $106 to $1 spend. So we're able to track some of that, and what we do is we geofence points of interest. And that helps us understand where the people are going to. So I think this year you'll start to see a lot more data on that from our organization.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster. I think the next mic I saw was Mr. Grings.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for your presentation. Love your energy. Good job with your messaging, capturing Ironman. Just really appreciate your work. We were even at our retreat this weekend, and the hotel we were at, it was filled with softball uniforms and baseball bats and backpacks. And
Love
so,
that.
yeah, us too. No, it was really, really good. So thank you. Just a couple questions here. Just some of the numbers, and you explained some of it from I think you said Harvard Tourism and Economics, but how do they get some of those numbers? Because I always look at those numbers where I think it was almost $600 million direct impact and all the visitors. I mean, are they looking at flights, hotels, crunching all that? Or give me a little bit more of where those come from. If you
Yeah,
would,
and I wish
please.
I could go down detailed, line by line on what they do, but it's basically putting in the data of when you understand how many people are coming, typical an average spend at a hotel, and utilizing what are they going to spend on meals, gas, and whatever, flights, all of those kind of things. They all go into a calculator of some sort, and they analyze that. It's an Oxford University organization that so pretty standardized data collection and retrieval. Nothing that we manipulate or whatever, but that's the numbers that come back to us.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the gentle correction there of Oxford,
Yeah,
not
Oxford,
Harvard. No,
Harvard,
thank you. And then just, I appreciate your last slide too, talking about the funds and the reserves. I mean, I think the general here is, oh my goodness, they're spending reserves, and
Yeah.
it sounds bad from a public's perspective. But if you could just, explain that, maybe staff could one more time, about your, financial stability, that this is money that you've collected already. It's kind of an overflow, and that you're just going to all the municipalities you represent to spend the money on what your plan there. That's
Yeah,
correct,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to kind of restate that. Those are revenues that have come in past years that we didn't spend. As you saw this year, we had an overage. We were under budget in essence, and so they get tucked into a reserve account, and we track those specifically by the bucket that they come in. So if they're TPA funds, they go into a TPA reserve account. If they're lodging funds, they would go into a lodging account, and so forth. And then those are stipulated as to what they can be spent for based on those agreements that we have. The TPA is really focused on marketing efforts, and so we put those aside and we look at them as almost opportunity funds. When we get in something like an Ironman that comes in and we say we have a chance to do this, but it's going to cost us some money, and we have a bucket of funds that we can utilize for some of that. And so in the past, that was one of the requests that we have. We use some of the reserve funds to help secure the Ironman event. This year we've got that secured, and we need those funds for other things. And so that's what we're doing, is just taking a look at opportunities that are out there in 2024 that we feel like we can take advantage of. And part of that's balancing, staff capabilities, right? We didn't ask for a lot this year. When you look at the bigger number, there's almost $1 million in there, and we're looking at about 176,000 that we got projects, but we've got enough already that we're working on. We felt like we want to be, smart about that. And so, yeah, those are funds that there's plenty in there that's going to keep us solvent. We've got a baseline of reserve money that we won't touch, but these are opportunity funds to go out and market and do more.
Awesome. Thanks again. Looks like you're off to a great start, Mr. Lewis. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick questions. Is our hotel motel tax revenue difference just because of the lack of hotels and motels we have in Pasco?
Yes, that's part of it. Yeah, the number of rooms are not, there's not as many rooms over here as there are in the other cities, but they're growing. We're getting more hotels here, and they're doing well. That's the beauty. The airport properties seem to be doing quite well. And you might have an answer on that too.
I agree.
Yeah.
And my other question was, in regards to the groups that have been booked, what groups, can you share kind of what groups have been booked for the area? that are coming
Yeah,
here?
boy, I'd love to call on Hector for this. He's our sales director, but we've got some great tournaments. The what is it? Sorry, the cross country we got back this year. WIA. Sorry, I'm still mixed up on the acronyms. The WIA cross country is coming back this year. We got the potato growers again in the convention center for another 3 years, I believe. And some those are some of the nice groups that are coming in, and then a lot of the smaller stuff. There's just we call it the bread and butter. It's the churn that just keeps coming, and those sports tournaments are some of the good ones that really make a difference.
Thank you, Mr. Perales. Ms. Blaisdell.
I love the visitor's guide. This is probably the best one I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Just because it highlights everything in the Tri-Cities. The map right here on page 5 is one of my favorites. So, I learned a lot about the Tri-Cities after reading this, stuff that I didn't know that I thought I knew everything. So, if you haven't had a chance to look at this and read it, there's a lot of good information in it. So, thank you, and I appreciate all the business that you bring to the Tri-Cities, big or small. So, much appreciated.
Thank you. The guide was, very intentional again this year, working through that messaging strategy, making sure we hit those key categories and organizing it in a way that hopefully it makes sense and it feels like it's resonating pretty well. It seems like it's getting some good, good traction. So appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Blaisdell. Ms. Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming back and bringing this and expanding a little bit more, especially sharing the information with the new council. I don't have any other comments, just one question, and it's actually a request.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go back and see that video?
Yeah. Do we have audio for it, do you think? Yeah, no, this is good.
And so while we're working on that, I do want to point out something that fellow council member Harpster pointed out. On your map, there's downtown is highlighted with some shopping bags and dollar signs on there, obviously directing for retail. Come
Yep.
and shop. So thank you again, and to appreciate the report. These are always very fun to read. So I hope the information shared tonight is taken away and implemented by our fellow attendees tonight. Participate in some of those events. Everyone that's listening, participate in those events. Come out, invite your family, invite everyone from, especially across the state. Invite them to come and stay and shop.
Technical difficulties continue.
Okay.
What we can do though is connect with you, and then we can get the video out so everyone can see it. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thank you for the request. It's a great video. We feel like it just represents the essence of this area, and it's a good foundational piece. And then from that, we build our other marketing materials, and when we come back, we'll show you more of those as we get them developed. So, thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you and your staff being here tonight. It's very informative, and I believe we'll take action on this, Mr. Lincoln, next week. So yeah, we'll be taking action on it. And I appreciate the effort that you all put into these materials, and glad to know that you're able to follow up with outside visitors. And thanks, Big Brother.
Yeah, it helps. I guess sometimes they get more and more controls that get put back into that, and that's probably wise in some instances. But we do what we can, and we've got some good services that help us do that. Thank you, Mayor, for the time, and it's good to be with you tonight.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening. With that, we'll move on to item B, which is Axon My 90 presentation from our beloved Chief Roski.
Thank you, Mayor Serrano's council members. The My 90 project, I'm excited to introduce to you as we continue to look at opportunities to engage with our community. My 90 gives us the chance to actually see what that engagement looks like from an anonymous platform, reaching out to the community live. With us to help do the presentation, probably clearer than I could, is our project manager from My 90, Brooklyn Grossarth, and she's online to do the presentation for you. She's got a few slides to roll through, and I told her to ensure she left plenty of time to answer questions from the inquisitive council that we have. So Brooklyn, you're on, and if just let us know when you're ready to advance the slides. Thank you. Hold on, Brooklyn, they're getting you queued in here.
I was just going to announce turbulence.
Certainly have a cool picture up here, though.
Yeah.
For you to-
Well, I mean, it's a great picture of you typing and shaking hands. So.
Mayor, if you'd like, we can switch the
Yeah,
agenda. while
I
we-
was about
right.
to suggest that. Inevitably she'll be able to speak, and
Hold on, Brooklyn, we're going to bring another presentation up while they work on this and get you back on.
okay.
I think I'm in now.
Ah, there we go.
Of course, it's the threat. Well, with
Thank you.
that, Brooklyn, welcome.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we're good. Can you hear us okay? Presumably no. Hey, Brooklyn, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we're all good. Let's rock.
Okay. I can't see my presentation slides, so I'm not exactly sure where we're at. But on behalf of myself, the My 90 team,
Hey, Brooklyn, if you're there, we lost you there after you were talking about your slides.
with Pasco PD. Before I kind of dive in, can you hear me?
Sometimes. Cannot hear you now. Do we want to slide this, Chief? I mean, if we're going to consistently,
Director of Fund, should we wait a few minutes? Can you keep tuning on it, or what do you want to?
yeah,
Stand by for a minute, Brooklyn. We're going to bring somebody else to do their presentation.
yeah,
and we'll be
Brooklyn,
back.
if you can hear us, we're going to swap you slots. So with that, we're going to actually move to item C, resolution service agreements with Tridec, and it looks like Mr. Dell's going to kick us, or Mr. Lincoln's going to kick us off.
Thanks, Mayor. So we've got Mr. Carl Dye with us tonight. He's the president and CEO of Tridec. Looks like they've been around since 1963, which is an impressive run. He's the head of our ADO, our Associate Development Organization, and they're one of our key partners in the Tri-Cities when it comes to economic development. They're the group that the state works with to make sure that they have the leads on industry when the groups are looking for places to locate. So good partner to have with Mr. Dye. And fun fact that he replaced another Carl, so they didn't have to change much of the nameplates when he joined the team. And he's very fun to work with. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and Pasco City Council, it's good to see everybody. Looking forward to this conversation. Really just wanted to say how much we appreciate the partnership with City of Pasco. And so it's great to be able to give this update to a little bit of Tridec's history, some of the work that we've done specifically here at Pasco throughout the community, and then some of the work that we can look forward to coming up in the next year. Let's see, am I doing the next slide? Okay, thanks. So as Adam said, and some of our numbers got transposed on here, sorry about that. We were formed in 1963, and so it's kind of a story we think that's representative of the Tri-Cities. The guy in the cover of the book Community Godfather, Sam Volpentest, who is one of our founders, owned a bar in Richland. He relocated from Seattle. He was recruited by the federal government to open a bar in the Uptown Mall in Richland. And he was friends with two guys at the time that owned the Tri-Cities Herald. And they both had relationships with the congressional delegation at that time, which was Scoop Jackson and Harry Magnuson. So people say that was the most powerful delegation that the state of Washington had up until now with our two senators that we have. And so they said, you know, the Tri-Cities at that time was really driven by the federal investment overall. And they were collectively tired of kind of riding these waves of people being hired and laid off and everything else. And they said, let's use the relationship that we've developed and let's apply it to the whole community. And so that's where we really started with that federal lobbying that we carry through to today. And, you know, I think one of the significant things about this is they named their organization back then, totally focused on nuclear. So they named it Tri-Cities Nuclear Industrial Council. And from what I've been told, that was one of the first times that we actually referred to our whole community as the Tri-Cities versus individual jurisdictions. And so that kind of started us on this precedence of being able to work together on both sides of the river and really representing, one community. In 1985, TRICNIC, as it was known, the Nuclear Industrial Council, merged with an existing regional chamber at the time to form Tridec as we know it today, so Tri-Cities Development Council. And that was also the time, as Adam talked about, that the state started doing associate development organizations. So Department of Commerce had dollars that were allocated to communities to specifically focus on economic development. And that's really how we operate today, and we have since 85. Try the next one. We wanted to show this as really our focus. So in economic development, Kevin just gave a great presentation. You saw the impact of tourism on our economy. Our work that we focus on is really industrial development. And so industrial being part of the base of our economy generally looks like this inverted pyramid. The base is one that supports all the other industries above it. So if the base stays strong, if the base grows, then we have a stronger, more vibrant community that has more opportunities in some of these secondary markets like restaurants and food service and retail and things like that. And so we really focus on that industry. So we subscribe to a software program now called Lightcast, and I know the city just got a subscription to another service that does similar numbers to this, but really breaks it down in different ways, called Placer AI. And so we're looking forward to comparing some of those numbers as the city moves forward with that platform. But when we look at Darigold, which was obviously a huge win for the city of Pasco, Port of Pasco, Franklin County, Franklin PUD, everybody really working together to pull this off. Initially, they're looking at 200 jobs in manufacturing. And so when we think about the multiplier of these base industry jobs, I think this is a good representation. And even on some of the other projects that weren't necessarily based here in Pasco, because we literally live on one side of the river and work on the other side, you can see from those patterns how we all share in kind of the rising tide floats all boats. And so those original 200 jobs, which is the blue line of manufacturing, in each industry, as we look at additional jobs that are created from that, you can see the breakdown. And so, down towards the bottom, about a third from the bottom is government. And so government to build on the capacity that's needed as we grow in population from that base, as it's then multiplied up into the other ones. I think it's a good representation of what we really focus on, what we do, not by ourselves, but with our partners here at the city, with the port, with the county, all of our municipalities and government agencies working together with private industry is really the way that we work. So just to give you kind of some recent projects that we've all been working on together. We just talked about Darigold, Resource Find Food here in Pasco. A really great story. I think they shared with us, they were looking at building a new processing plant in the Midwest to take advantage of some potato supplies that they could get in the Midwest. And before they built that new plant there, they came back and said, Pasco is such a good place for us, especially with our workforce. We've got such a dedicated workforce that does a good job. Instead of rolling the dice on building a new plant in a region they hadn't built something in, they doubled down on Pasco. And I think that's a great representation of our community together and why companies that have been here for a long time, like Research, decided to really double down on Pasco. I think it's a great story that we like to share with everybody that we talk to. A couple projects last year that were announced in Richland. So Atlas Agro, again, the connection with Pasco is this will be the world's first green fertilizer plant. They'll make fertilizer that's better than the fertilizer that we can access today without using any natural gas. And so it's actually a decarbonized project. It's got a long ways to go. There's other things that we're working on that will benefit Pasco, like increased transmission lines that'll have some advantages on this side of the river. But really on that agricultural base, what we're finding is that not from a regulatory environment, and Mayor Serrano, I think you'll appreciate this, a lot of discussions that we've had, that, companies from a market-driven standpoint are looking at how can we measure things like greenhouse gas emissions and carbon and get a competitive advantage for it. Not that the government's regulating it, but the market's driving it from the bottom. And Atlas is going to give us collectively a huge advantage to be able to have our local growers using some of those products that are aimed at being cost competitive, but it's a better product, gives better yields, and then it's also carbon neutral. And so when they get into publicly held companies that have to do environmental sustainability guidelines and reporting, that gives us a big advantage as a community. So ATI Materials, also another company that was a retention in in Richland, that does titanium melting. They were able to they're working on doubling the size of their workforce and their facility in Richland. And then Framatome, that's been here in Richland for over 50 years, that does nuclear fuel manufacturing. Again, chose to stay in our community for advanced fuels that will fuel the next generation of nuclear reactors that we're all working on together. These are some good projects that we're excited about. I wanted to then break it down into some past history, specifically in Pasco, that we've done. And so, a lot of times I think, and I hear this as we get around the community, I've been here for 4 years, and I think sometimes the reputation of Tridic is, well, all you do is Hanford. We talked about the beginning, doing federal lobbying, which we still do. But I just want to give these examples because I think it's good for the whole community to think about in the past some dollars that TRIDEX received from the Department of Energy, how we make sure that it goes out to the whole community. So in the late 90s, Department of Energy for all the cleanup sites had what they call 3161 grants. So those were dollars that came out directly to all communities that would focus on developing the community and doing different economic development activities. Out of those proceeds back then, about $1 million was invested in Pasco with a study and then partially on some of the construction that led to the water reuse facility that obviously the city now has doubled down on expanding, improving, and then adding this renewable natural gas source. I think that investment that we all worked on together back then has led to obviously the really great food processors that we have in Pasco because they can't go anywhere else and have those shared service. It's a really big competitive advantage to Pasco. From Department of Energy, again, starting in the late 90s, it was ended in 2019. We had a program, we're what's known as a community reuse organization. So we have the ability to accept personal or real property, personal property being like equipment. So from late 90s up until 2019, stuff that was surplus, which could be desks and chairs and computers and screens and sometimes equipment, mobile equipment, different things, was given to TRIDEC. We then would bring it to a local auction house here in Pasco, auction it off, and then those dollars would save up an incentive fund. So some recent examples that we've invested in projects from that fund, originally from Hanford, but that we put into incentivizing companies to move here and be based in Pasco. $400,000 for AutoZone, $500,000 for Darigold, and $150,000 for research. So those are dollars that we like to try to match them with the state fund that's available. But in the case of Darigold, the state chose not to give them any state funds. But we went ahead and made sure that we made that investment in Darigold so that they landed here in Pasco. So I think that's a good example of our role in really supporting the whole community and making sure that the community grows and that we are working definitely on both sides of the river. This last year, we also started up a new wholly owned subsidiary of TRIDEC. We just talked about carbon a little bit, kind of how markets are driving that. So a small group of our board of directors funded and founded this new organization called Energy Forward Alliance. So currently, they're a wholly owned subsidiary of TRIDEC. We're working on a 501c3, which is a tax deductible status for them. And once we get that, they may spin off over the years. We'll see where we go. But really, it's an effort to show that the Tri-Cities is the place that in green energy projects, green technology projects, green manufacturing, and decarbonization, that we are the place to model, stand up, commercialize, and expand projects like that. So Energy Forward Alliance is a way to really focus in on that. We already have 92 to 98% carbon-free electrical generation. We're unique in the country. We have the greenest power existing. We are so far ahead of the rest of the state on the Clean Energy Transformation Act that the state has this mandate on. In 2025, when coal is taken out of our mix from Centralia, in 2030, when natural gas comes out of the mix, we're already way ahead of the west side when it comes to that. So Energy Forward Alliance is another example of how can we all work together and show that we are the right place to try to attract some of these big projects and continue to double down on our advantages that we have over the rest of the state and the rest of the country. This one didn't really show up, but this is something that we're really interested in, and Port of Pasco is the leader on this. So it's really about using waste streams from one industrial process and then as a feedstock for another one. And so being able to work in this circular cycle, some circles is called industrial symbiosis or agricultural symbiosis, and really it's that you're locating industrial processes next to each other and that they're sharing infrastructure of those things. Again, we think that Pasco, because of food processing and manufacturing, some of the land that the port has potentially in the future could be a great location for this. And again, it just opens more access to dollars. And I think that's the bottom line is, regardless of where anyone is, the federal government's going to spend a lot of money on decarbonization of these processes. We want to make sure that every dollar that we can comes right here to the Tri-Cities and that we spread it out, give equal opportunity across the river for all of our community to grow as those dollars come in, start new industries, and where we can really show that we're the leader. 2024, the industries that we're focused on, we do get a number of inquiries on crystal production for solar cells, pretty electricity intense, pretty big job providers. So far, we haven't had the electrical load to get there, but through some of this work that we're all doing with Bonneville Power Administration, we feel like there's an opportunity to continue to do that. Carbon capture and reuse or sequestration, Pacific Northwest National Lab did work about 10 years ago down the river at Wallula at the paper mill on pulling carbon dioxide out of the flue and then injecting it underground. And what they found is when you do that in the basalt that runs completely under the whole central basin of Washington here, is it actually turns into a rock faster than it does in other places. And so this could be a growth industry that would include a lot of drilling, a lot of pumping, a lot of compression, things like that. We want to be able to be open for that. Electrical vehicle battery components. Moses Lake has 2 companies that are doing this. We're currently talking to one and probably another one on the line that would make part of the electric vehicle batteries that everybody talks about and is slowly moving towards. We already talked about agricultural and industrial symbiosis. And then retail support services, we're really excited that this year, we've been doing it since I've been here. We go down to the ICSC, which is International Conference of Shopping Centers Conference. The City of Pasco and Port of Pasco have had a separate booth from what we hosted regionally that had the rest of the cities involved. This year, we're all going to be in one bigger booth, and so we're excited. We focus on industrial development. We don't really do that retail, but we're excited to be able to partner because it gives us, under kind of the TriDec banner, if you will, a way for us to all support each other and represent one community as it comes to that. So anything, Kevin talked about this a little bit on the visitor side, anything that we can all do to get more restaurants, more shopping opportunities, bring more people in, we all benefit from that. So that's what we're planning to do this year again at the ICSC show. New nuclear, I know it's a lot of times we think about it the other side of the river, but we think as we grow, probably in the 10 plus years, there's probably more opportunity for new nuclear on this side of the river. And, you guys have a great partner in Franklin PUD. We really appreciate working with them, but I think that's something probably a little bit further out that we can think about. And then on workforce, I think when we think about economic development across the board, workforce is the biggest thing that we all lack. And traditionally that wouldn't be our role, but we feel like somebody needs to step up and create some new partnerships on what can we do. And really the big opportunity that we have is our 2 biggest demographic sectors in the Tri-Cities are millennials and Gen Z. So people in our community that are 30 years and younger, a lot of them are still in the K-12 system. A lot of them are right here in Pasco. What are we doing to make sure that kids that are going through schools, and not just the kids, but their whole families, know about great job opportunities that are right here in the Tri-Cities? What kind of education, what kind of training, what kind of apprenticeship does it take to get aligned with that? We need to start working with our kids as early as possible just to make sure that they're aware of that. They might go right by a processing plant every day on the bus. They have no idea what goes on in there. And so that's something that we look forward to, again, extending these partnerships and working together. I think that's my last slide. I started off talking about partnerships. That's what we're really about. It's not TriDec. When we say TriDec, it's our whole community working together. And that's really, I think, the atmosphere and the relationship that we appreciate so much with the City of Pasco and all of our other partners. Mr. Mayor, I'd stand for any questions if there are any.
Thanks, Carl. I really appreciate that and appreciate the work that TriDec is doing to really kind of move the ball in these various industries. They can be tremendously beneficial to the Tri-Cities at large and obviously the City of Pasco. Mr. Milne, it appears you have a question.
I actually don't have a question. I just have a compliment. When I got on council, I got on the TriDec board, and I really enjoyed myself in the years that I was there. And your staff is phenomenal. Actually, I have my father-in-law, Gary White, was a member for years, and so he was always talking about all the good projects. So it was just great that you did the recap, and I really enjoyed it. And I just want to say it's just great the amount of money we put in and then the bang for a buck. I mean, it's pays off umpteen times. So just keep up the hard work. And again, I really enjoy everything you do. So thank you for your staff, and thank you for your commitment to all cities, not just the one people on the other side of the river. So thanks.
Thank you. We again, still now, we really appreciate that partnership and the relationship that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milne. Ms. Blaisdell.
Thank you. I have a quick, question/comment. With the current workforce that is currently here and with minimum wage going up and all these big businesses coming to the area, do you see our workforce, struggling for the people that are, when all these businesses open at the same time, say Amazon, Dairy Gold, do you see that being an issue?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think we've all, and the city's really been the lead with Amazon. So when they decided to build their warehouses, they don't come to us. They make their own independent decision on where, their model works. And so working through the city, because the city's worked and had that permitting process and kind of the relationship there. We've always looked forward to and asked to, as soon as possible, before they start hiring, can we sit down with them and just understand where they're at? You know, look at, might they have programs for ongoing education that they could actually be a feeder for some other industries or something like that? We're still looking forward to sitting down with them. I know that the city's working hard to try to pull that off, but it's a huge concern. You know, the size of our workforce right now, collectively in the Tri-Cities is, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think it's about 160,000 people. So when you think about, 1,500, 1,600, these numbers that we've heard for Amazon, it's about 1%, which 1% doesn't sound like that much, but it is when they all hit the market at the same time. And then you have these other projects we just talked about coming on. So yeah, we are definitely very concerned. And for us, because besides the investment City of Pasco and other municipal partners make in us, we also have memberships. We're a membership organization, just like Visit Tri-Cities or Pasco Chamber as an example. So the last thing we'd ever want to do is somebody that's a manufacturer that's one of our members say, like, you take my money and all you're doing is attracting this company that's paying them $1 an hour more, and I've just lost all my workforce. We never want to get into that. We want to try to head it off and be proactive. So yeah, you bring up a great point. We're very aware of it, but we know that as a community, we've got a long history of working together to get ahead of it. So I think that's our approach to it, is like, let's not be scared of it. Let's face it head on. And how can we turn this into a positive?
The repercussions of it as a running a business
Yeah.
for, I think, a lot of people throughout the Tri-Cities, I think it's going to hurt, but we have to figure out a plan
Yeah.
to get ahead of it. And I don't know what that answer is, but it's in the back of the back of my mind. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, as we get deeper into workforce, then we're going to come up on other issues that the city of Pasco is really a leader on, like housing, right? Because, I mean, historically, the way that it worked is that if there was a job here, we would get some in-migration from neighboring communities like Yakima or Walla Walla. People could move here, afford to rent or own a home, and get that job that maybe paid a little bit more where they were coming from. Today, with the way housing is, we don't have that flexibility. We don't have that mobility in that. So, workforce isn't just by itself. Housing's connected to it. Other things like childcare are connected to it. We don't have any numbers, but we know that a big part of our workforce dropped out during COVID, and because of the cost or availability of childcare, they can't get back into the market. So, are there things that we can do on that to just bring more people back in the workforce? People that are great workers, but because of access to childcare, they dropped out. So I think that as we get deeper into it, we're going to come across those things, and we're going to learn things collectively that we don't know today, but hopefully we'll have, to your point, we'll figure some of those things out in the future.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blaisdell. Mr. Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a question about is in Hanford, are we still a site for the X-Energy Northwest small modular reactor site still?
Yeah, actually we are, and there's been some articles in the paper, but I think within the next week, the governor's going to sign the budget where the state's actually investing $25 million in that project, which was a big collective win for everyone working together. Energy Northwest was kind of the lead on it, but all of our local trade unions, 598 steam fitters and building trades, heavily involved in that lobbying effort, as was Puget Sound Energy, which is an investor-owned utility on the west side. They put some money up, and even Microsoft did. So it was really a team effort to get that over, and we're excited about it because it's a big indicator. In the past, the state hasn't necessarily really been on board with nuclear power, but now they realize, because of the Clean Energy Standard and other things, that they're trying to go from a policy direction. They're not going to get there if they don't have that clean baseload power of nuclear. So we were really excited about that, but we're definitely, with that investment, I would say more strongly on track to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Mayor, one more thing that I did want to put out that we need to start working on, and that is a new opportunity that we have in the tax code, and it's a manufacturing property tax exemption that City of Richland implemented last year. And those 3 projects in Richland, we applied it to all of them. But for all of our municipal partners, we want to encourage you to consider that. We talked with the port about a way to do it, but it really makes us more competitive. And I think as the city of Pasco looks at some of these forward projects, to remain equal to Richland and still have a competitive advantage over some of our other competitors in the state, it's something we need to take a look at. And City of Richland's open to partnering. You know, they want everybody to have an equal shot at it. But I think we'll be back relatively soon to have the city consider the adoption of this targeted urban area. Got to create a district, and then each applicant would come before City Council and go through a process of approval if the council would be open to that. So I did want to bring that up, that we'll be back pretty soon to start working on that.
Okay, I guess to the extent that you want to pre-share any of that information,
Yeah.
go ahead and get it circulated.
Yep.
Appreciate the forewarning there.
You bet.
Mr. Grimm?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Dye, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for reacting to all of this legislation that's coming out of Olympia. I don't think the public realizes, natural gas is on its way out in 2035. And, we have natural gas in our home. And, I know there's a lot of people concerned about, the cost of energy just continuing to rise. Do you think that will have a dramatic effect or just another chip in the block of our added energy costs?
In the world that we live in today with inflation and everything else that we hadn't seen to this degree for a long, long time, energy is a huge part of that. And even some of the things that are going on, we'll have a chance to vote on the initiative for the Climate Commitment Act in the ballot in November, and we'll see where we end up. But I think that, the impact of, especially those of us that can't afford it the most, sometimes we forget about that. The cost impact, how it affects working families as we move forward with policies that we don't have anything until it gets implemented to say, oh, well, gee whiz, we didn't mean for that to happen. Collectively, we have to figure that out. I think we'll continue to go through things like that. But I do think that, with what we talked about, Energy Forward Alliance, this initiative that we're leading, I think it's a good example of how can we make this, if instead of letting it affect us and be a negative, how can we get ahead of it and try to make it a positive? And hopefully help businesses make money, help employees earn more money, help, rising tide floats all boats. I guess it's kind of a political answer to your question, but it's
No, and I'll
yeah,
be honest, I appreciate your work. I mean, because at some point, we can only control so much what comes out of Olympia. And here's a guy like you giving us a fighting chance of at least being this mecca. And, another phrase you used was clean energy. And I assume that is, we're still calling dams clean energy. And you know where I'm going with that. And so, that's also another concern that will be an added strain to the power grid, that will raise the cost of energy for consumers who are already, feeling the pinch everywhere. So
yeah, no, we totally agree. And just to be clear, we are 100% in support of keeping our Lower Snake River dams, and will not waver on that position. And I do want to bring up something else I should have put in my slides, but we're working with City of Pasco and our other partners on the shoreline reconveyance, which goes back to Doc Hastings as he was going out. He put legislation in the Defense Authorization Act that said the Corps of Engineers will give the shoreline back to local municipalities, and there were some procedural challenges in that. So what we've been working on hand in hand with the city, the port, the county, is to go back through it and identify what lands will be transferred. And then I feel strongly about, and I'm going to tell you the story to relate back to Lower Snake River Dance, because I think something that we're really excited about is building a relationship with some of our local tribal partners. And so from a ceded territory perspective, this side of the river was the Yakama Nation. The other side was the Umatillas. And so for the last 3 years, really, we've been working with the Umatillas. And for the last year and a half, we've been working with the Yakimas. Last year, we hosted a gathering. We had tribal council come down from Yakimas. They gave us an explanation of their treaty rights. I think Councilmember Brajas was with us at that. I think they fed us. We had salmon and huckleberries and camas root. And they had first foods for us. I think it was a good discussion, community to community. They're working on potentially joining us on the legislation to turn the shoreline back. And within that, one of the things that we're open to having as a community, having a dialogue about is maybe there's some parcels that one of the tribes could get or something like that, if it fits the right role. But if we can get there, they're willing to join us in lobbying for the legislation, which would, give us a chance to get our shorelines back. And so again, it relates back to that federal lobbying that we've always done for 61 years, but we're trying to leverage that to the benefit of everybody. So I think I would say, this is my perspective, working with tribal nations, to a degree we can disagree on issues like Lower Snake River Dam removal, but then look forward to places that we can work together to the betterment of everybody. And I think that's a real opportunity. I think that's kind of our perspective on it, but no, you're exactly right. Hydropower is clean energy. That's the reason that we're already 92 to 90% clean. And it's always been, since Grand Coulee was finished around 1940, it's been the strength that the economy of the Northwest is built on, and we can't give it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Mr. Dye. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, appreciate your time, as always, very informative, and we appreciate your partnership, and we look forward to continually working with you and your staff.
We do too. Thanks a lot for your time.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, fingers crossed, we're back to item B with Chief Roski, and let's hope that we can get the presentation back on. Let's see, we got Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, are you up?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, I think we're good. Go ahead and take it away, Brooklyn.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of myself, the My90 team, Axel Enterprise, want to say thank you for inviting us here today. Thank you to Chief Roski, who's been an amazing partner to myself and our team. And then also thank you to City Council for your patience while experiencing technical difficulties today. Before I kind of dive into our agenda, I wanted to quickly mention here, all of these photos you're seeing came from a wonderful photo shoot we did with Pasco PD back in November. They really rolled out the red carpet for us. So I'm proud to say that I was able to come into your community, come into your facilities, interact with these wonderful men and women of Pasco PD, and it was such a wonderful experience. At the My90 team, our vision is that we use community engagement tools such as surveys to build bridges with our community and bank trust with them as well. And so while we're talking through this presentation today, I want to give you a quick agenda of what to expect. We'll kind of dive into the ways that Pasco PD is engaging with the community, and we'll also talk about the data that they've received in their time with working with us. And then we'll also take time for questions, and then you'll also be able to kind of play around with the tool a little bit so you can see it firsthand. I want to mention here that My90 started as an acquisition with Axon back in August of 21, and then we started live with our first customer in August of 22. But Pasco was early on the scene as they joined us in October, of 2022. So they've been a long time and valuable partner to us, and they continue to do so as well. Anytime that we need feedback or we need some tough criticism, we come to them, and they're always right there ready to kind of help us out in really making sure that the end product benefits the department and also the community, as that is our goal there. So as we kind of dive in, want to give some quick stats on Pasco PD. Like I said, they've been with us since October of 2022, and they have had over 1,200 responses with us since then. So lots of feedback from the community and overwhelmingly positive as such. If we can go back just one more slide, wanted to kind of talk about the solutions that My90 offers and works with Pasco PD on currently. So our post-contact surveys are surveys that go out to our callers who call into the 911, our non-emergency line. They are surveys that go out to those individuals who have pre-selected call for service types that match the ones that the department has set forth they'd like to send out to. So we don't send to those highly sensitive calls, and we defer to the discretion of Pasco PD for those. But essentially what will happen is a caller will call into 911 or the non-emergency line. Your dispatcher, which I believe operates at a county level, will go ahead and take all the information, and then they'll dispatch out an officer. The officer will go ahead and take care of that individual. And then at the end of the day, either that day or the next day, they'll receive a text message around 7 p.m. at night, prompting them to take part in a confidential survey. They'll be provided a survey link, which will open up in their browser. If an individual has the Spanish language preset to their browser. It will translate to Spanish for them. There's also a little globe on that page they can also click, and that will also translate to Spanish for them if they'd like to participate in that way. But it asks them a series of questions such as how was their interaction, and then also liking to ask questions about their top safety concern within their community and what they'd like Pasco PD to do about those. We also ask free-form feedback questions as well, so they can give any sort of feedback that they'd like to at that time. I want to emphasize here that all of our surveys are confidential, so we do not trace them back to specific callers. However, if an individual leaves identifying information in that free-form feedback area, we can trace it back to them then. But essentially what we're trying to do is give citizens and community members a voice where they can speak to the needs that they have as a community member, and then also give feedback to our police department as well. So that's our post-contact survey solution. We also have the community engagement tool, which you'll be able to see later on today. This is a custom QR code that has been distributed to Pasco PD, and they can use it however they'd like. They currently use it on business cards that they hand out for street interactions or events or things like that. But it basically pops up into a landing page where individuals can quickly direct to Pasco PD's website, their recruiting portal, their social media pages, and then also a community survey, which people self-opt into. So with all of these items, just trying to really understand the community a little bit better, and also hear their feedback firsthand. So I want to dive into this feedback. If we can go to the next slide. When the agency receives this feedback, they receive it in the form of a dashboard. So they'll go ahead and they'll log in. This is the first page for the post-contact dashboard. All of the pieces of information we're going to be looking at today are screenshots from their dashboard last week. These do update on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so it's pretty much lifetime data for them. Over on the left side, you can see 86% is their post-contact score. That 86% is an indication of those individuals who said they had a very positive interaction with Pasco PD. And you can see that looking at the graph over on the right side, that less than 7% of interactions have been rated as very negative or negative. To this day, we've sent nearly 5,000 messages out to 911 and non-emergency line callers, and we've received a little over 1,200 responses. You can see our response rate for Pasco PD is 8%. Standard survey response average is usually about 3 to 4%, so we're trending much higher than that number there. Below that, you can see our number of responses that we've received in the last 30 days. And a little bit below that, where it says prior month 124, you can see the response amount 60 days ago. And then we do have a trending average or trending line there, where you can see we're down a little bit in responses this month compared to last month, but only one. And then over all the way on the right side, you'll see the badges earned. These are badges that we like to hand out to our agencies that partner with us to kind of show how they've partnered with us and their successes. We've given the Innovator Badge to Pasco PD because, as I mentioned, they've been a wonderful partner and helping us develop the product. And also we're the first in state for Washington. Underneath that, we have our 100-day badge and our 365 badge. Those just basically mean they've been with us for 100 days and well over a year as well. And they also have our trifecta badge, which means they participate in all available solutions that My90 offers. Next slide, please. Then we dive into community sentiment. This is where we like to dig into the nitty-gritty of the interaction. You can see there at the top, the positive view of agency is 78%. That is a rating from just the last 30 days. You can see the prior month, the rating was 88%, and then you can see the trending line. This is a little bit lower than average. It's normally much higher than this, so this may just be a little bit of a one-off month. But The bottom 5 there, those other percentages are derived from individuals saying they either strongly agreed or agreed with the sentiment. So 89% of people say they strongly agree or agreed with they were treated with respect, or they were treated fairly by Pasco PD officers. And again, you can see how they kind of trended last month, and then from this month, or from last month to this month. Over on the right side, did you receive the help you needed? About 13% of people said no, they did not receive the help you needed. And when an individual says that they did not receive the help they needed, we like to ask them a secondary question of what was the main reason why you did not receive the help you needed today? And you can see that's broken down month over month based off of those indications that individuals are providing. Next slide, please. Then we dive into procedural justice. I want to call out here that this is not all response data that we're looking at, but this is a cross-reference of those individuals who chose to self-identify their race and ethnicity and who also answered based on your action, how do you view this agency? None of the questions that are asked in our surveys are required, so individuals do choose to opt in to certain questions and they may skip other ones. But overall, you can see overwhelmingly, regardless of racial group or identity, they rate their interaction as very positive with Pasco PD. Next slide. Then we dive into top safety concerns and also what they'd like Pasco PD to do about those. So you can see here, the top safety concern within this community is drug use or sales, closely followed by theft. Over on the left side, that's all-time data. And then over on the right side, you can see how it breaks down month over month. Within this dashboard, our command staff at Pasco PD has access to look at this, and they can kind of zoom in on these items, and they can also manipulate the data to kind of just see how people who answer this question or specific questions, how they answered other questions as well. Below that, you can see that that big pink bar is saying that 43% of individuals have been surveyed have said that they have been satisfied with the level of community engagement that Pasco PD has provided, which is excellent. Behind that, 32% of people are saying they'd like to see an increase in patrol car visibility. If an individual selects this, they will get the secondary question of where would you like to see more Pasco PD patrols? And then they're able to go ahead and identify. And you can see we've had many individuals come in here and just list places that they're concerned about. And then Pasco PD will go ahead and keep those areas in mind as they patrol a little bit more. Next slide, please. Then we dive into demographic information. This is a great part of the dashboard where they're able to go ahead and kind of manipulate it down to certain groups if they're interested in that. Maybe looking at just how females are interacting with their survey, or maybe specifically looking at how certain populations are looking at it based off of race or also age. Next slide. So after all of this information, they are given the option to give that free form feedback. A lot of people take the time to actually mention officers by name. And here I've pulled together 2 slides where individuals have been mentioned by name. I want to emphasize here that Pasco PD officers are not going out and on their calls mentioning to community members, hey, we're going to be sending out a survey later on. Please remember me and give like a thumbs up or anything like that. These community members take it upon themselves to remember these officers by name and then offer up this information when prompted to. So you can see that these community members have been really touched by these officers that have interacted with them. However, I'm only showing you today officer call-outs. We do get a lot of compliments just in general to Pasco PD and the services they provide, but we do as well get some criticisms from the community, maybe about the way that their interactions went, but also calling out specific items such as residences or places of business, things like that. But this is an area where individuals can go in and leave any sort of information they'd like. Next slide. And here's just a few more of those compliments specific to our officers. I didn't have near enough room to share all of our officers that have been complimented here. But I know that based off of the information that I see come in to Pasco PD all the time, your community is extremely supportive of this department, and rightfully so. They're very great at what they do, and they service the community accordingly. Next slide. So now we have the opportunity for the group to ask any questions. I've provided this QR code. If you go ahead and scan it on your phone through your camera, it'll take you to Pasco PD's landing page, which we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier on. And we also encourage you to go ahead and take part in our community survey. Those surveys and the feedback that we get from there, they also populate into a dashboard similar to the one that you saw for the post-contact feedback. So I know personally that Chief Roski and his team are very interested in this data, and they look at it on a frequent basis. It's very important to them to get this feedback so they can adjust for trainings or the needs of the community members. But that's all I had today. I'd love to take questions.
Thank you, Brooklyn. Do we have any questions from council members? Mr. Harpster, I think you were first.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for that presentation. I think one of the sentences I liked hearing the most was Pasco was early on the scene when you guys first started doing this. And I think in general that seems to be the case with things like community engagement and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation for, but accreditation. So that's great to hear. A few slides back, community input on public safety concerns was the title of the slide. You had in the top right, community concerns by month. Yep, that's the one. In the top right, there's 3 or 4 data points that are much lower than the rest, and I was just curious what those were. And then a follow-up to that, if we could get these slides emailed to us, that'd be helpful. Some of the slides with a lot of data like this were hard to see, but I'm really interested in reading through it.
Yeah, sure. So those months where you see a little bit of drop in where the bars are, we had a drop in response rate during that time. I believe we had another survey engagement tool that Pasco PD was using at the time. But when we decided to pivot away from using both survey tools and just My90, we saw the responses come right back up.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster. Ms. Ross.
Thank you. If we can go back one slide, I think it's one slide before this, possibly not, 2. In your slide talking about a number of responses, so there was 123 responses, and correct, that's the one. And you mentioned something about down in responses. Can you elaborate a little bit again what that means?
Yes. So because our surveys, none of the questions are required, individuals can choose to opt in or opt out of certain questions. So sometimes we have individuals who go in, they'll answer the very first question based on interaction. How do you view Pasco PD? And that will be the only question they'll answer, and they'll drop out of the survey. However, we also have individuals who go through and they'll answer all questions. But when it comes to the demographic portion, it is like the rest of the questions, optional. So if an individual chooses to not leave their race and ethnicity, they would not be taken accounted for in that the heat map chart. I believe that's the one that you had mentioned.
Correct, yes, and I just needed to get clarification on that. I understood different. I understood it was down in response from officer response, but it it has nothing to do with that, correct? And I'm seeing Chief nod. Thank you.
Yeah, that 0.8 drop, who knows why those fluctuate coming in. That's a pretty small number, right, Brooklyn?
That's correct.
Thank you, Ms. Barros. Mr. Perales.
Thank you, Mayor. Very good presentation, Brooklyn, and I just wanted to give kudos to the Pasco Police Department. It seems like they're always on the cutting edge of technology, and this is good data, and I would just wanted to request if we can get maybe monthly those little data metrics and stuff, just to see. I was very impressed to see how it elaborated on things that the community wants to address, the homelessness, the drug, like we were just talking about that other tree, and it's kind of reflecting in those metrics.
So, My 90 has this portal ready for us to go live. Anybody could access it when they want. I had asked Brooklyn not to publish that until we drove this, and then of course until I got in front of you. So soon we'll make this live. Anybody can look at it in real time.
Thank you.
One
Ms.
thing
Ford.
I would mention, in addition to what the chief mentioned, it will be on the Pasco PD website for all community members to look at, with the exception of the free form feedback, just because it's unmonitored. Anyone can say anything in there, so that won't be present. But you'll have access to all other data points.
Thank you. Chief, you got anything else?
No, thank you, Brooklyn. Thank you, council members, for the support.
Appreciate it, and look forward to seeing this continually provided. With that, we have no additional items under number 5. We'll roll on to miscellaneous discussion. If we've got, do I understand that we may have a presentation?
One slide.
Okay, I was going to say I'd been requested a restroom break, but if we'll keep it short, let's roll.
Thank you, Mayor and Evening Council. This is a very short presentation. Wanted to give you a quick update on the discussions that we had last week regarding timelines for the grant for businesses impacted by Lewis Street overpass construction. So we have a 30-day notice for the CDBG funds that starts on March 28th. There's a special planning commission meeting that is already scheduled for April 30th. And council will be receiving emails soon in terms of your availability for May 1st, 2nd, or 3rd that week, so we can have quorum and be able to act on this. And we also have a policy question. You do not have to answer today, but definitely a discussion for the next week or two to come, which is if you would like for us to start taking applications before the approval, so we can be kind of ready by the time the 30 days are up, and once we're able to release that funding, we have all of the applications ready. Staff is working on the procedures and guidelines and the applications at this time, and also looking to establish some help for the businesses to apply the loans, since these are federal loans and they're quite complicated at times. That is all I have, unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Seeing no questions, council, do we have any additional miscellaneous? Ms. Blaisdell.
I just wanted to mention Pasco High Dance Team did attend the WIAA State Dance and Pom competition this last weekend. And I'm proud to announce they came home with 3 state titles in Pom, Hip Hop, and Show. And they're preparing for international dance competition. I believe it's April 8th. So congratulations on their 3 state titles for Pasco High Dance Team. And I would also like to encourage everyone to attend Coffee with the Cop this Wednesday, March 27th at 3:30 at Cafe Con Arte in downtown Pasco. They will also have a special guest attending from the animal shelter. Buster is a 3-year-old male American Pit Bull Terrier mix and is adoptable. So Buster is looking for his forever home.
Thank you. And if I understand correctly, that's the first time, not about Buster, but about the dancing, that's ever happened, that 3 titles have been won in one single event.
And they have one more thing. They do have a fundraiser coming up March 30th at Applebee's in Kennewick from 8 to 10 a.m. Tickets are $15 for a pancake breakfast. Proceeds go towards their travel to LA for the international competition. So.
Very exciting. Congratulations to those young people, and best of luck and safe travels. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to also give people a reminder, there is a meeting this coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Mid-Columbia Library on Hopkins, talking about the Pasco Downtown Transit Center, and they're inviting the public to come out and give comment about that. And then just as a reminder, I'm going to be gone the next 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to being in the nation's capital next Monday and Tuesday, going to the White House and the U.S. Capitol. Don't worry, not as an official delegation, but just as a family tour to learn more about our nation's history. So I'll see you guys online. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Ms. Browse.
I just wanted to share real quick and something that I had shared with our city manager, something I had discussed in last year. For the past 3-4 years, I had been working on an initiative that finally made its way to legislation and it finally passed. I was invited to attend the signing, to witness the signing of this initiative, and there will be a very quick, short 30-minute interview in regards to the signing. So this initiative will allow DACA recipients that are interested in civil service to become police officers to be eligible to pursue that career.
Thank you, Ms. Browse, and good work there. Mr. Harpster.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say, regarding our council retreat this past weekend, appreciate staff's time, and it's got us working Friday night and Saturday morning, but appreciate that. And obviously I'd never been a part of one before. I don't know what I was expecting, but it went umpteen times better than I expected, and just appreciate serving with y'all, and I think we'll definitely make some progress in the next couple of years, so thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Harpster. Seeing no further comments, again, congratulations to the Pasco High dance team. We're excited for you. We're rooting for you. We're praying for you. We know you'll represent the city well. Again, congratulations. We look forward to celebrating your international victory, and it'll be party time. So again, best of luck and prayers for y'all down there. With that, we have been asked for a few-minute break, so let's go ahead and do 5 minutes. That'll take us to 8:42. After that, we will move directly into executive session, which is discussion with legal counsel about current or potential litigation under RCW 42.30.110 subsection 1 subsection or Roman numeral I. That is to last for 30 minutes, Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, can we add, can we add 1F to evaluate a complaint against a public official as well?
Yeah, and RCW 42.30.110 subsection 1 subsection F, a complaint against a public official. Are we going to need more than 30 minutes to have these? I see two different head nods. I got a yes and a no. I'm not sure which one to.
We'll make it work in the 30.
Okay, with that, we will take 5 minutes. We will commence executive session at 8:43 and return at 9:13. Thank you. right, but we're gonna go into we're gonna include this discussion in executive session under RCW 42-130, subsection 1, subsection G, I believe. And Mr. Ferguson will give us those enumerated factors.
Great, thank you. Let me just verify our RCW so that I can make sure we're in good shape here. I'm sorry, no, I was completely off. It's 1C,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
So again, that's, we are in executive session, remain such till 9:13. We're adding one more item, which is RCW 142.130 sub point 42.30.130, right?
Yeah, no, so 4230, 110, paren 1, paren C.
Okay, 42.30.110 subsection 1, subsection C, for the sale of property owned by the city, and Mr. Ferguson will,
Yeah, so the factors that the council will consider in executive session will be related to the beneficial interest to the community and the businesses nearby, economic development, and then other facilities that are located nearby, as well as an experienced potential buyer.
okay. At this point, we still on track for 9:13, or do we need to extend? 5 or 10? We will now extend this session until 9:18. Thank you. It is 9:18, and we're extending the executive session another 10 minutes. Thank you. It is now 9:29. We're going to extend another 5 minutes to 9:34. 9:38, and we're going to extend for another 10 minutes. Thank you. 9:48, and we're gonna extend 5 more minutes. It's 9:54. We're gonna extend 6 minutes to 10 o'clock. It is now 10 o'clock and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for joining us.